app coming to Xbox and PlayStation. Probably.
I think
probably
Wait, what is Rainway?
It's the one you can stream PC games to your whatever system has the app on it.
Oh, wow, that's nice.
Mm-hmm.
I dig it. I'm into it.
The Hearthstone Spring Playoffs will be held across the country on May 27th. I thought you'd be excited for this.
This is the worst.
It'll determine who qualifies for the $250,000 Spring Championship in Shanghai. The problem is that some of these playoff tournaments are being held at Buffalo Wild Wings, which will remain open to the public, no less, and during the NBA and NHL playoffs. While Blizzard assures that they've worked with the locations to improve on the conditions seen during the Winter Tavern Hero qualifiers, players of those events said that the location was a huge distraction. Reports claimed everything from shoddy internet causing disconnections to waitstaff actually interrupting the game.
Yep, and you have to go there. If that's your location that you're going to, you have to go there to do it.
Why?
It's so weird. So there's there's 15 locations that are hosting one of these tournaments, and 5 of them are at a Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yeah.
Huh.
And there's let's see, there's a Washington, Texas, Illinois, Nevada, and those are the only ones that aren't at Buffalo Wild Wings.
But can you think of a worse location to try to hold?
Nope.
A tournament like this?
I don't think so.
Why do you say that, though? Because Buffalo Wild Wings is like the place to go watch a football game and drink beer and eat wings. Like, why not try to bring video games to that?
That's my thing. I think it's a great place if it's
a good idea.
specifically happening for the esports event. But if they're staying open to the public during the NBA and NHL playoffs, that's dumb. I think Buffalo Wild Wings is a perfect place to have it if it's scheduled for that event.
Yeah. Okay, Nika, think about it this way. You play Gwent, right? I assume you have to concentrate while you're playing. Imagine all the ruckus of Buffalo Wild Wings going on all around you.
A huge
Wait
ruckus.
staff coming up and
coming
up and interrupting you, or someone looking over and being like, "Oh, what are you playing?" and coming over and now asking you questions about it.
Yeah.
You're a nerd. You're coming here to play
that. Like, really difficult.
This harkens back to a story that happened a few years ago when Buffalo Wild Wings partnered up with League of Legends to show the playoffs, and people actually went there to watch the playoffs, and the wait staff had no idea what they were talking about. They're like, "We just want you to turn one TV to League of Legends." It turned into this big fiasco where they had to go and get the manager. They had to explain to the manager what was going on. They finally turned it to him, and then the wait staff starts making fun of them and accosting them and stuff like that.
Horrible.
Can you imagine? I mean, you're there. First of all, you have to be there for a tournament. This is somewhere that you would never ever be otherwise, right? These are the people have to go there to participate in it. And it's not like they're taking the feed from these people's games and putting them somewhere where people can watch them. It's not an exhibition.
Just to play the game, just to qualify for a tournament.
Exactly. All of the people that are going to be at the Buffalo Wild Wings for the restaurant are going to be there to watch either the NBA or the NFL or the NHL playoffs.
And are going to be drunk as hell.
Exactly. And between some fucking waitress coming up to you, do you want more blue cheese sticks? Or, some drunk frat guy, oh, what are you doing, faggot? Can you imagine trying to compete in an environment like that?
And this is to go into a tournament where you're trying to win $250,000.
Right. Yeah. I mean, dude, if someone came up to me over my shoulder when I was under that kind of pressure, dude, I'd probably fucking deck them. You know what I mean?
On top of shoddy internet and disconnections and stuff like that? Oh my God,
dude, yeah. I mean, think of when you're dealing with shoddy internet at home. I mean, fuck, dude, I get so fucking angry when I'm dealing with my own home connection. And imagine sitting somewhere else that you don't want to fucking be in the first place. Yeah. That you have to be now to remain competitive in a tournament that can be participated literally anywing you don't have to be at a Buffalo Wild Wings to participate in a fucking game of Hearthstone.
Yeah, the only thing, because it did say that Blizzard is working very closely with these venues, so unless they plan on sectioning off an area with velvet rope and stuff so they can't be interrupted, this is just the worst decision.
And then that just makes it even worse because you're just making more of a spectacle out of it, and unless you're gonna give people something like a match to watch, then that just becomes goddamn pointless.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I feel really bad for these people that have to go in and try to compete in these environments because they don't have a crowd behind them, right? Like, at least in other places where you're going and competing in a tournament, you've got people who are cheering you on or rooting for you. You're going into what is ostensibly a hostile environment, an otherwise hostile environment. You've got to continue to perform. No one's watching you. No one gives a shit. Everyone's paying attention to whatever else is going on in the fucking world. And here you have to perform to be able to try to make your money and stay competitive. Have they
made any comments specifically stating whether or not they would close down the restaurant to be only for people who want to come watch?
No, they specifically said they're going to stay open to the public.
It's during the NHL and NBA playoffs. Of course they're not going to close down.
Good point. Just for that one couple of days, I don't know.
How the fuck does Blizzard let something like this happen? I understand. Look, I am starting to understand some of the criticisms that we've been hearing in the esports world about the way that Blizzard is coming in and trying to do things like their Overwatch League and the way that they try to do competitive tournaments, because their partnerships don't make any sense.
Okay, hold on. The people who are doing the Overwatch League and the people who are setting up this Hearthstone stuff, two completely different teams, okay?
I'm just saying it all comes down to the deals that Blizzard and Activision broker for sponsorship. That's not a different company, though. I guarantee you that's probably run largely in the same department over at Blizzard and Activision.
Because I can see both sides of the Overwatch debacle.
No, this is a huge corporate partnership, though. This is a huge corporate partnership with Blizzard and Buffalo Wild Wings. No one who is involved on an exhibition level or tournament level or a competitive level looks at this and says, this is a good partnership, this is a good idea. This is only someone who is a suit and removed from the community, and someone who looks at the corporate sponsorship opportunities and the bottom line money coming in and goes, this is a smart idea, this is a good partnership. And then you end up with shitty debacles like this. That is, I think, what is at the center of the criticism of the way that Blizzard is organizing their tournaments and the overall the big picture partnerships that they've been brokering with either places like the NFL or whatever other sponsorship opportunities they've been brokering. I'm starting to see the root of the criticism. There is a pre-existing esports community. There are pre-existing organizations that have started with no money and have built themselves up into very respectable and competitive organizations organically. And they're getting tossed aside for a place like Buffalo Wild Wings?
No, see,
get the fuck out of here.
Stop. Now, while I understand where you're drawing connections, there are some similarities to the debacle that's going on with Overwatch and with Hearthstone. I think that there are some parallels here that you're drawing that aren't fair. The Hearthstone thing is, you're right, absolute garbage through and through, okay? But I don't see any other, anyone else being affected. Like, trying to draw parallels with the Hearthstone Buffalo Wild Wings thing to people like Team Solo Mid, being upset that they haven't been talked to about the Overwatch League. Like, how do you draw that parallel?
Because I can see the frustration, especially when you have Blizzard approaching people like traditional sports teams to be able to start up their league, as opposed to Team Solo Mid or as opposed to Cloud9 that may have already been starting to form teams along those lines, or to be competitive in that league or in that space, and they're like, oh, well, we're just going to get passed up for the Miami Heat. Well, I guess we should go fuck ourselves then. Oh my
God, this discussion is too big to have during the news.
I mean, am I wrong?
No, actually, yes. In some instances, you are wrong, okay? So, all right, just really quick, some of the things that I was saying to Chris before we even started the show.
Look, these traditional sports organizations have none of the the community interaction. They've got none of the draw. They, in fact, have more to gain from us as gamers becoming invested in their brand or their product. And I mean, you know, like they have none of the organic support. They've got none of that. They're stepping into an arena where they're as clueless as
but they have
anyone coming
money
from outside. Yes.
Okay.
Oh, good.
So hold on. Let me give you this. Your team's solo mid. Okay. You hear that some other team is gonna spend $20 million for a franchise. All right, Team Solo Mid can't afford $20 million, right? But had I came to you first and you buy something and you buy in for $2 million,
they priced them out, man. They're pricing them out.
If you buy in at $2 million as Team Solo Mid, are the Miami Dolphins then going to buy in for $20 million? Not when these other teams have came in for $2 million. You court the big dogs first to get, you're right, a bunch of new blood, and then afterwards, when you know you have the money to support what you're going for, then you go to your other traditional esports. You say, we have the money to back this all up, and now we want you to come in. You're right, they haven't gone to them yet, but they also haven't straight up said, nah, we don't want you.
Yeah, well, these traditional esports organizations that have been putting together competitive teams for Overwatch are suddenly going to see themselves priced out of the ability to even form a team, and then they're going to
that franchise.
And then they're going to have their talent sniped out from underneath them because they have no competitive edge. They have they can't even get into the fucking tournaments if they're priced out.
These are league tournaments. This doesn't say anything to do about like the Overwatch World Cup or the Apex Challenge. Those things are still going to exist outside.
Yeah. So that's basically a farm team and a B team. You're playing for way less of a pot. You're playing for way less of a prize. Where do you think the talent is going to pool? They're going to pool with the $2 million organization that's formed organically through gamer support over 10, 15, 20 years? Or, oh yeah, they're going to go to the fucking Dolphins. Great.
Well,
woohoo.
I think there's still a lot to be seen is the point. I mean, the fact...
I mean, if you're Team Solo Mid, you don't understand how they have a fucking chip on their shoulder because of this?
You're right. I do understand, but I also think it says something that before any discussions have even started, when there's still just rumors, you're willing to drop your team? How much were you really dedicated to the sport then? Because someone who puts in $20 million, they're dedicated to it.
No, they have a way bigger, deeper pocket than...
But they're still willing to buy into it more than someone who's like, oh, you didn't talk to us first, then we're not playing your game.
They're just... See, the thing is that they can easily... As easily as they can drop that $20 million investment, they can walk away from it too. The Miami Dolphins are not backing the future of the organization on the success of esports. They're just trying to get in with a demographic that they don't have an in with.
Okay, but they're also not going to walk away from it.
Okay, but TSM, right? Mm-hmm. Like TSM, their team starts doing poorly. They start losing tournaments. They don't end up making pots back. They fold because where is their money coming from?
You're right. If they put in $20 million, but I don't think Blizzard's going to make that ask of them.
Mostly because they don't have it. They don't have the $20 million to plop down, which means that they could ostensibly be priced out of even being competitive.
That's only if they can fill their league elsewhere. And that's the question, is can you?
Yeah, I think you put the big dogs first.
Dude, it sounds like Blizzard thinks that they can.
Blizzard thinks so, but a lot of the market suggests otherwise.
And you had mentioned that on Checkpoint, Callie, that report does not seem as strong as it did, and seems laughable at this point. But Robbie, I understand what you're saying. I just disagree. I think that I think that the criticism that Overwatch is not, and Blizzard is not doing enough to organically reach out and use the community and the infrastructure that has been growing in an organic way, that they're going to do so to their detriment, and they're going to have a harder time muscling people over. As popular as the game is, they're going to have a harder time muscling people over as a fan of the sport and as a fan of the league if they keep making decisions like this, and especially if their decision making is if their partnership with B-Dubs is an indication of their decision making, or the way that they're trying to parse out their sponsorships or their deals, I don't think that bodes very well.
I don't take it too seriously because of its 5 tournaments for Hearthstone, which I don't think is like, it's of their esports. It would be what their
It's still, I mean, that's still fairly considerable money. Maybe not competitive Hearthstone, but
sure,
there's still an audience around it.
I just don't think it's.
It's definitely, it doesn't have the push like Overwatch.
Yeah.
I mean, that's obvious.
If I started hearing things like we're gonna host our Overwatch World Cup with B-dubs, that would be concerning.
But you understand though, like I'm just saying like take their, this is a smaller franchise, sure, right? Yeah. This is where they could actually be making more decisions that are, more rooted in the community because they have less of an overhead to try to, like they have less at stake with a Hearthstone tournament than they would as Overwatch. And again, I just think that this is indicative of their decision making, that they're going to try to go for big corporate visible partnerships every single time. I don't think that that's necessarily going to work out for them, especially when it comes to Overwatch. That's where I'm bridging that logic.
And I do see that, and you're right. There is still a lot of this story that there's a lot of directions that it could go. That's why I think we need to wait a little bit longer. They did actually release a statement concerning all of the Overwatch stuff, and they said that they are not counting out endemic esports organizations, that they do still plan on bringing them into the fold too. So time will tell.
If they can afford it. I mean, again, it's like what happens in a neighborhood when you have a whole bunch of hipsters move in and fix up a neighborhood. Everything, the people who have been living there for 20, 30 years get priced out of the neighborhood because suddenly all of the convenience stores or all of the surrounding infrastructure that they used to use to be able to get by is starting to raise their prices.
This just in, Buffalo Wild Wings announces partnership with Whole Foods.
Yes,
okay, South Park.
Esports